All right, I think we are live. Let's see. All right, I think we are live. I guess I gotta mute my system here. Let's see. Okay, hey, how's everyone doing? Pardon me while I get set up. This is the first live stream that I've done, so there may be some technical difficulties as I figure this out. All right, hey, hey Jennifer, I see you in the chat, and hi, why bother? Okay, so there's going to be some technical difficulties, I'm sure. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you just someone leave a comment in the chat if you can hear me? Just want to make sure this works since I've never done the live stream before. And if I don't hear from anyone in the chat, I will assume that you can't hear me. Let's see. Loud and clear. Okay, awesome. Unwritten Rules of the Road. Hey, Scott and Tasha, whoever from Unwritten Rules is watching, thank you guys for tuning in. Okay, so let me give you a little backstory first. And while I talk, I'm just going to go ahead and start laying down a basic color. So this is just a blank white canvas, not very interesting to paint just on stark white on camera. So I'm just going to lay down a base color first of just this raw sienna, which is just kind of like a tan color. I'm going to be, if you guys have any questions or want to participate in the chat, I've got it open there. I'll be periodically looking at it, but I might not, I might miss a question from time to time if I'm into the painting, but I will try to get them all answered. And anyway, here we go. Just laying down some color and then we'll start sketching. So what this is, or the whole live painting thing I'm doing right now, years ago, I used to host a monthly live art event at a place in Burbank called Hyena Gallery. And what I would do, I would set up my easel much like this and just do live painting. And then typically I would have a special guest for every event. So another artist would come up and set up next to me. And we'd also do a live stream and have the cameras on both me and the guest artist. But the other cool thing, the thing I really enjoyed about the event, was that anybody could show up. So the gallery had some tables set up and some spaces. So any artist, professional or amateur or in between, could show up and just make art with us. And that part of it was really cool. It really became like a really cool community of just making art. And I love that. And so in that spirit, what I would love to do would be just to encourage all of you to make some art. You don't have to. I mean, you can just watch me paint and hear me ramble, and that's fine. But if you got a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen lying around, or you have, you know, real art supplies and you want to draw something or paint something, sculpt something, whatever, please do. And then if anyone does work on any art and wants to send it to me, please, you can email it to me over at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will feature some of the artists on the channel, whoever wants to participate. Again, completely optional. Yeah, let's see. Yes, sir, I bought 3 of them. Ah, excellent. Okay, all right, so again, I'm just laying down a base color just so you're not staring at a bright white canvas, which is a little hard to see things happening. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just take a rag here and I'm gonna wipe this down because I wanna get the painting sooner than later, and I do not want you guys to have to sit there while we watch paint dry. That's not a lot of fun. I'm starting out, usually when I'm painting, I'll either work in acrylic or I'll work in oil paint, and my preference being oil. However, oil paint takes a very long time to dry. So we're going to do kind of a hybrid painting today. I'm going to start in acrylic because it's fast drying. So this color I'm laying down here is acrylic. And I'm going to do just a basic underpainting in acrylic. And once I get that in good shape, then I'm going to come back in and start working in oils and use that to layer over the top of the acrylic, assuming that we can get the acrylic to dry fast enough, which I think we can. What do you guys think? Okay, here we are, blank canvas, ready to go. And first off, thank you guys so much for tuning in for this. Really appreciate it. It's always fun to paint with an audience. I have zero ideas about what I'm going to paint. Purposefully did not come up with anything in advance. I'm going to just shoot from the hip and see what comes out. That to me is one of the most fun ways to paint, is just to make it up as you go along. And that's something certainly anybody can do. Just takes a little practice. The danger of working that way is that, you know, half of the time you might paint total crap and not like it, but that's okay. You don't have to love every piece of art you make. It's just fun to do it. Now, if you are painting or drawing or whatever from home and you're not good with just working from the top of your head, of course, you know, feel free to use a reference or whatever you want. You know, there's no, it's art. There are no rules. So let's see. I'm just going to start. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just let the lines start flowing and see where it goes. So probably start with some kind of a face. Inevitably, it will turn into some kind of monster or weirdo shit. You guys know me. Or if you don't, you'll find out soon. I just tend to draw weird things. Let's see. Start with the face. At this stage, you know, I'm still, as I figure it out, I don't know what it's going to be, and I don't, I'm not precious about anything. So, you know, I'll make a little face, but that doesn't mean it has to stay a face. This, if it's a person, a creature, or whatever, it's inevitably going to go through a lot of different stages. So just quick and dirty, throwing some paint on just to get things started. Have something to look at. Oh, I see. I just read your chat. Why bother? I know who you are now. Thank you, sir, for tuning in. I will preserve your anonymity by not saying it on the chat, but man, it's good to see you. Certainly been a long time since we've chatted over art. Okay, so I mean, that's a basic bald-headed face like me. Let's, yeah, I don't know. You know, one of the good things too about painting in my studio, though, is I do have a lot of random stuff lying around. So if I have to look for it, I mean, I have a skull in arm's reach. I got some sculptures over here and things like that. But I am going to try to just go from the top of my head just for fun and not really look at anything. And for this underpainting, I am just using black and white for right now. Yeah, establishing lights and shadows. Question though for the chat, I don't know. I think there's a bit of a delay, so probably by the time I say something, it takes like 30 seconds or so before you guys get it. But if anybody is making art from home today in any form, let me know in the comments or in the chat. I'd love to see. So let's talk more about this whole art autopsy concept, because as I mentioned earlier, this used to be a live event and I would have special guests, and I would love to bring that vibe back. And I think what I would like to do is invite over some of my artist friends that live nearby in Southern California and have them be guest artists. If they'll come to the old Carney garage to do some painting, that would be great. Or maybe we'll get to go visit them in the studio and you guys can get a look at what other artist studios look like. I guess one of the only bummers about this whole process is that I gotta paint in silence, because if I put on music, it's I gotta worry about the YouTube folk coming for my channel. I guess I could just play my own music and not have to worry about copyrights, but I don't know, I'd feel kind of weird just sitting here listening to my own music, especially while you guys watch me. Yeah, still, obviously this is a face. I don't entirely know what kind of a face it's going to be yet. Just locking in some shapes and feeling it out. I mean, it can't just be a face. There's got to be something crazy happening. Otherwise, what's the point, right, kids? But let's see. I think, bear with me, we're going to see if this is going to work out, but I'm kind of feeling like, you know, maybe something wants to burrow into the side of this dude's head right here. Some kind of a creature. Bear with me. Let's see. Let's see. Some kind of a creature. He's already in the head at this point, right? Maybe it's a squirrel. You guys know I love squirrels. Well, you do now that I've admitted to it. I love squirrels. And so, yeah, there's going to be a, for now, squirrels make appearances in, let's say, half of my paintings. Okay, let's say that's the hind legs, this is the tail coming out here, and then there's going to be just this hole where it's burrowing. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Again, at this stage, blocking things in, seeing where they go. I don't know. But it's a process, you know. Painting is a journey, discovering what the piece is going to be. And, you know, just keep refining, waiting for this dude to start talking to me and telling me what he's going to become. Jennifer, you don't own a Clint Carney painting that features a squirrel? That's ridiculous. I mean, we're going to have to remedy that. Just kidding. Well, you know, there's quite a few of them. I don't know if I'm not digging this squirrel. He's just not working out. We're going to just give him the wipe, but something, I want something to be crawling out of here. You know what, we're going to work that out later. I'm just going to, bloop, we're just going to draw some arbitrary geometry there. I'm going to have something happening on that side. I don't know yet. We're going to see. I'm not one for things making sense all the time, so, you know, I don't have to know what it's going to become just yet. But I do like kind of what that's doing over there. What if we bring that out on that side too? And I think maybe I even want another creature happening in this little quadrant here, or another face of some sort. You know, kind of this paint just smeared around like that is kind of forcing my hand to make a little dude here. Just gonna follow those lines that happened accidentally and see where they lead me. I realize it's hard to tell what the hell I'm painting right now, but it'll turn into something. Okay, yeah, he's kind of like a little weird frog dude. In fact, I'm going to give him a little arm right here, and I'm just going to go with this random shelf geometry. We're going to give him a little arm that hangs over the side here. He's just hanging out in that little box that's growing out of that dude's head for no reason. And if anyone is wondering, I have no idea how long the stream is going to go today. I'm just going to paint until I can't paint no more. So we might end up finishing this guy today in one session, and we might not. We'll see. Okay, that's a weird little mutant rodent guy up there in that quadrant. Isn't he lovely? All right. Is there anybody that is watching that is a regular viewer of the channel? And then, not pausing for the answer, I will just say, let me tell you guys about some future plans that are happening with the channel. So next up, if you saw my most recent video, that was a blaster build challenge where I built two kinds of sci-fi blasters, one using standard techniques of molding and casting, and then another one using more modern techniques involving some AI 3D model generation and 3D prints and yeah, anyway, so I released part one. So the next video coming out is going to be part two of that, where I finish up both of those blasters. It's a pretty fun little project. And then after that, I've got a few things that I have filmed already that are just waiting to be edited. So the channel is going to end up, obviously I'm going to keep going with the builds and the props and mask content and music content. But I thought it would also be interesting and a good excuse for me to do this, to talk to some interesting people that I know and just record the interviews so that you guys can get to know them as well. So the first such of those interviews that I filmed is with a wonderful artist named Pete Von Schawley. And Pete is a storyboard artist who's done just some of my favorite films ever. He's done that Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile. He did Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, I think. He did some of the Hellraiser films, all of the Child's Play films. Really just a talented, super cool storyboard artist. And so I got a chance to sit down with him and conduct an interview, and he was just an amazing guy to talk to. I had met him before at Hyena Gallery, but never really had an in-depth conversation with him, so we got a chance to talk. So that video is going to be coming up to the channel soon. You guys will get a chance to also meet Pete and see his awesome work. And then I collaborated with Pete again on another video because he has a wonderful collection of sculptures, and I'm helping him preserve that collection by 3D scanning the sculptures and turning them into files that can then be printed and replicated or just, you know, archived because it's a rare, one-of-a-kind collection. So we're doing a video on that too. And I honestly have a list of like 150, I'm not exaggerating, at least 150 video ideas of things planned for the channel. So there's a lot of content coming out. For me, the only bottleneck is, well, my schedule, you know. I just wrapped up work on a new movie. It's a fantasy horror take on Snow White called The Death of Snow White, and I was the visual effects supervisor on that. So that has taken up a lot of my time, and that's why I didn't get that blaster video, the second blaster video out just yet, but I'm all done with that movie and getting back to working on that and more fun stuff for the channel. If you get a chance to see that movie, it's pretty fun. So I'm hitting up the premiere here in LA next week, I believe a week from today. And then I know it's going to have at least a limited theatrical run, but I don't know where it's going to be. So again, I did the visual effects. I was a visual effects supervisor, and for those of you who don't know, that's all the digital stuff, you know, CGI. So yeah, aside from doing all the practical stuff I also do a bit of digital work, which I also have a lot of fun doing. Okay, it's starting to shape up. Basically, where this is going, before I get into oil paint, again, just working in acrylic at this point, I'm just doing the drawing at this stage, right? I'm getting the values, light and dark, and figuring out what it's going to be, because the acrylic's going to dry super fast. So by the time I'm done with this, most of it will already be dry, and then I can move over to oil and start coming in and adding some details and really refining it. But until then, yeah, just sketching this up. Oh, you were sad when you didn't win the pumpkin. Why bother? Yes, sorry. But you know, Jennifer Goupil, who is in this chat as well, is actually the proud winner of that pumpkin. So I was happy to see it go to a good home, and to catch everyone else up who doesn't know the reference. I built a pumpkin monster out of a foam pumpkin in an older video, and we did a raffle drawing to give it away to one of my subscribers here on YouTube. So subscribe and you can, you know, win shit. But I actually had to do the drawing 3 times because the first 2 people, I'm cutting his nose off, by the way. I'm not into the nose. We're just killing it. Get out of here, nose. Nobody wants you. First 2 people did not claim the pumpkin monster. Gave them 2 or 3 weeks each to claim it. Went unclaimed, and then did the 3rd drawing, and it went to Jennifer. So happy that the pumpkin dude went to a good home, and happy that I don't have to do a 4th drawing to try to get rid of it. Okay, yeah, he's a little better without a nose. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Nose? No nose? Maybe the nose will come back. I don't know. We're going to leave it like that for now. just keep working it, see what happens. Of course, if he doesn't have a nose, it's not going to be casting a shadow on his upper lip, so we can just kind of bring that back into the light. Since I'm just here talking to myself, I'll tell you guys about a couple movies I saw recently that I really enjoyed. One movie I saw was Heretic, and that was with Hugh Grant. Probably the creepiest role I've seen Hugh Grant play. He doesn't do a lot of creepy roles, but he really did a great job in that one. It's on Amazon Prime, I believe. And then the one that I just saw, which had been out for a while, but it kind of slipped under my radar, was Talk to Me. Super cool ghost type movie. Really cool, pretty freaky. Definitely, if you guys like horror, check those out. They're pretty good. Anyone else see anything? Anyone else see anything good recently? Let me know in the chat. Oh yeah, Jennifer also has the worm witch bust and a zombie bust. Yeah. In fact, let me just show you this real quick. I think this is one you have. This is like the sculpture from the bust. I think you have one of these guys, right? But that's the clay sculpture right there. He's still intact for the most part. A little worse for wear, but and then the worm witch bust. That Jennifer bought one that has where the witch was on top of this pumpkin pedestal. It was actually my favorite version of that sculpture. So yeah, she's getting quite the collection, and I so appreciate it. Okay, that's a good start. We're gonna. I want someone else coming in here. You know, another. Some kind of a face happening over here as well, tied into here. So that'll be like the hood of the eye. And I don't know, maybe that's a tentacle of some sort that loops around the back. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. So if that comes around like that, it could be a snake, it could be a tentacle, I don't know. As an eye for him. Oh, we've got 6 people watching right now. Thank you guys. I know there are other ways to spend your Thursday nights other than watching this weirdo make weird art, but I so appreciate you guys spending time with me. Very kind of you. Lace and armor, how are you erasing? Yeah, so at this point, and hey, and thanks for joining. That is awesome. Glad to hear, because you are an amazing artist as well, and I hope you're making art alongside me too. So yeah, it's just acrylic right now. So you'll see, like here, it's dry. I can rub it down a little bit and it erases off, but sometimes it's just on there. But because I'm just getting this underpainting done in acrylic, I'm not really concerned with what you know what I mean? I'm painting thick at this point, right? So I can just come over that and just cover it right up. So just wiping away at this point. A little bit of water, even, but mostly just dry for the most part. But there's nothing that I can do at this stage of the painting that I can't just like paint right over, you know. So I'm pretty loose with it because I'm still finding the images, you know. Yeah, when I was younger, like, you know, back when I went to school and all that stuff, I would just draw, you know, sit in class while I'm supposed to be doing classwork, and I would mostly just be drawing the whole time. So all of my class papers, I'm sure my teachers hated this, they would all just, I would just draw on the margins and everything. Every page was drawing on, and usually I was drawing in pen. So I just got used to just at a young age working in pen, which kind of prepared me more for painting in a way, because there was no erasing. So if I made a mistake, I just had to figure out how to cover up the mistake, as opposed to being able to erase it. I kind of just, that bled into my painting process as well. Yes, this is like a weird elephant trunk thing over here that's kind of looping around. I don't know. I don't know, man. And so this live video will live in eternity on the YouTube page, but if there's a demand for it, or if I get an excess of free time, I may go through and eventually do like an edit of this and have a condensed version for those people who don't have the stomach for watching me paint for hours on end. Which is probably most people who subscribe to my channel. Now, I haven't ruled out the possibility of putting a squirrel in this painting, by the way, for those of you who were here at the beginning when there was a squirrel and then there wasn't a squirrel. A squirrel may come back. I don't know. Who votes for squirrel? Let me know in the chat. I have this picnic table for squirrels in my backyard, and it is my mission to befriend every local squirrel in the neighborhood. So I've got a couple that will take peanuts right out of my hand, and those ones, of course, are my favorite squirrels, but they're all pretty cool. We also get some skunks and some raccoons that come around too, which are also pretty sweet. So I'm debating. So this, try to explain what's the oddness that's happening on the canvas here. So you know, this being this guy's trunk or whatever the fuck that is that's wrapping around here, but I'm debating whether or not I almost want that to turn into a snake that is then biting itself. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. That sounds fun for everybody but the snake. Of course, when you put a snake in a painting, now I've committed to doing some tedious scale detail later, but we're gonna cross that bridge when it comes. For now, it's a snake. Maybe I'll talk myself out of painting all those scales. Okay, yeah, I think that's all right. Oh, you know, I got to do something before I forget. This is just, you know, comes with the territory here. I have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Clint Carney. So I know a lot of you watching are already on it, so thank you for that. But I just want to say thank you to all of my patrons who are on there, which is Jennifer Goupil, Tango14, Travis Carney, Anthony Ferraro, Rachel, Derek Justice, Sea of Dead Faces, Violet Gray, and Jill. So if you guys are watching right now, thank you so much for your support on Patreon. If you are not on my Patreon, that's okay too. There is a way you can sign up for free and you will get some of the posts on there. But if you do the paid thing, there's other perks and such. So check it out. I find that lately I'm less and less on regular social media. It's kind of, you know, hard to reach your audience there. So I've found that between YouTube and Patreon has kind of been a more effective way to communicate with people, although I should probably not totally neglect my other social media, but I just haven't found myself with the strong desire to be on it a lot lately for reasons. Okay. You know, you might notice like every once in a while I'll just drip and it goes down or whatever, and we'll, you know, those are what Bob Ross would call a little happy accident, because a lot of times those will turn into something cool, you know. Sometimes I'll leave them, sometimes I won't, but I don't sweat it at this stage. Still figuring it out. I spent most of this week, well, actually, I'll backtrack real quick. So, like, one of the things I do on Patreon is like, I'm forcing myself to do these weekly update videos. So, at the end of every week, I just do like a, you know, me talking to the camera kind of deal, explaining what I did that week. And it's, you know, it's good practice talking on the camera, I guess, but also it's a good reminder that, you know, I am being productive even when I feel like I'm not. But one thing that I've been working on a lot this week, other than figuring out how to do a live stream, which took longer than I'd like to admit, but my buddy Scott Lands, who's the guitar player for System 10, he was a huge help in helping me figure out the live stream thing. So thank you, Scott. But other than that, I've been working on some new music this week and really just focusing on one song in particular and having a good time with it. I still got some of this ochre, or what is it, burnt sienna, raw sienna on the palette. So I'm just going to actually use it to reshape a little bit of this guy here, because why not? To advocate for throwing a solid color down, by the way, for anyone who cares, before you start painting, for one, I mean, you know, I chose kind of like a middle color. So then as I throw whites on for highlights and blacks on for the shadows, you know, it's a good just middle tone. But also, painters who don't do that, if you're anything like I was before I started toning the canvases first, you might find that you get through a painting, you've laid your colors in, and then you just see these little specks of white from the canvas showing through underneath, usually due to the texture of the canvas or whatever. And that, to me, is super annoying. But if you lay down a solid color first, you don't run into that kind of problem. So, because then anything that shows through is just going to be this middle, you know, this middle, in this case, the raw sienna color, and it is just, it just won't stick out as much as a bright white, you know, because at the end of the, I mean, obviously you can see there's white in the canvas now, but by the time this painting is done, there's going to be very little actual white on the canvas, just the extreme highlights, you know, specular highlights and the eyes and things like that. So little dots of white can really pop out and ruin a painting, or at least for me. So tone your canvases, folks. It's a lot of fun. Oh, let's see. We got some more chat going on here. Let's see. Good night. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's right. You got the rat painting. I remember that you got that one. That's so awesome. I appreciate you watching. Why bother? Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you around. And now we got 10 viewers watching. So thank you all for all the people that are just joining. I'm gonna, for those of you who have been here since the beginning, I'm gonna do a little bit of repeating myself just for the sake of the new people that are watching. But essentially, just drawing in acrylic paint right now, figuring out what the image is gonna be, this weirdness right here. And then once we get the basic shape, you know, basic things blocked in as to get the gist of what it's gonna be, then I'm gonna go in with oil paint. And now you're caught up. There you go. Oh, and also for those of you just joining, I encourage you to pull out your paints, pull out a piece of paper, pull out a pen, pull out a pencil, and just make some art at home with me so we can share in the experience of creating together. Anybody who is watching who does end up making some art during this stream, please email me a picture of what you did to clintcarneycreates@gmail.com. And I'm going to feature some of those submissions on the channel in the future. If anyone submits anything. Yeah, I kind of like this little creature dude up here. I don't know what the hell he is, but he's fun. Maybe we'll give him a little tail, tongue rather. We'll probably have something, we'll fork that out. We'll probably have something land on that tongue, like a fly or butterfly or something later. Let's just put a little squiggle there so I remember something's going to be there. Also, though, if you are painting from home, no pressure. You don't have to send anything. I don't want you to limit yourself and not make art just because you think you have to show it to people. You know, if you like it, you feel free to send it my way. But if you don't, no worries. I mean, one of the cool things about making art is that it can just be for you. And if you don't like what you did, you never have to show it to a single human being. Of course, I'm screwed because this is live on the internet, so everyone's seeing this monstrosity, regardless of how it turns out. But that's all right. Okay. Oops. making a mess, making a mess, making a mess. Let's see, so this, I'm actually gonna call this the horizon line in the background. Although these little quadrants, these are actually separating the background into different sections, but it'll make sense when it comes together. But let's see, let's just do like a little landscape here in the background. We're gonna throw in some hills or something, maybe in some buildings, something in the background. You know what? Just kidding. We're gonna fucking figure that out later. Okay. Put some water on my rag here, and we're just gonna push some things around. I have not been as prolific with the art as I had in prior years, and I'm hoping that getting back into doing the live stream painting will kind of encourage me to be a little more productive on that front. After the pandemic, all of the galleries that I was showing at, obviously, well, not just the galleries I was showing at, every gallery in the country kind of shut down, stopped doing shows. And then when they opened back up, I don't know, I guess I just hadn't been painting because it's, people forgot I was still around. I had not been getting in any of the shows that I used to. So I guess that's a good reminder for me to get off my ass and get back to making art, which is what we're doing now. He kind of reminds me, the face kind of reminds me a little bit of Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bernie Wrightson. He was a badass comic book illustrator, and he did a version of Frankenstein that was pretty killer and kind of looks like this guy. At this stage, of course, he's going to evolve. Oh, you know what? I don't know how many of you guys are in Southern California, but for those of you that are, I went to a birthday party at a pub in Pasadena called Der Wolf. And if you have not been there, I don't drink, but it's still worth going even if you don't drink, because the downstairs area, which they call the dungeon, is just covered in these the most amazing murals you will see by the fantastic artist Christopher Ulrich, who is just a living legend of, just a modern master of art. He makes stuff that's right up my alley, and he's a really good guy too on top of it all. So go check out Der Wolf in Pasadena and go downstairs to the dungeon, and you'll see just the most killer collection of art that you would not expect to see in a bar, but it is there and it's amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you for watching. That's my dad in the comments there, who is also a painter, which is where I get it from, although he doesn't paint as weird as stuff as I do. But who does? Put a If anybody has any questions along the way, please feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I will just continue to ramble to myself. Getting some Michael Berryman vibes from this art. Thank you for watching, and then great stream. Are you still working with God Module? So to address the first one, thank you. I love Michael Berryman, actually. Random Michael Berryman story. One time I went to a screening of The Lost Boys at a theater in Palmdale, and was using the bathroom and looked over to the urinal next to me, and it was Michael Berryman, and that was cool. Just ran into him in a public restroom in a movie theater. Random. Don't know why I'm sharing that story, but that's my experience with me, Michael Berryman. But yeah, love his work. He's a great character actor. And Schwein asks if I'm still working with God Module. I haven't played with Jason from God Module in a while. It might have been 10 years or more since, but love him, love Andrew and Courtney. They're just a great group of folks. I spent a lot of time working with other bands. Most of my music career in terms of touring was touring with other bands that weren't my own. And at a certain point, I just started putting more of my musical energy into my own output. But yeah, love God Module, and they're all great guys. And certainly wouldn't rule out the possibility of working with them again in the future. Since after the Triptych tour, Naman Rudel asks. I think I played a few shows with them since the Triptych tour. That was an exhausting tour because I was playing in three different bands. I was doing 3 shows a night, which I was pretty dead on my feet by the end of every night, but it was a fun one. But yeah, I think I may have done a few shows with him since. I think I know I sung on a few songs on a couple of their albums, and I think some of those, at least one of those, happened after the Triptych tour. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give him some hair. Why not? Just on this side, not on the creature section, but. And again, we're going to refine all of this when we get into the oil painting stage. So right now, just crazy shapes. I kind of dig how this like hard line here is, what starts out hard and then is going to go into this fleshy, more organic shape below. So let's lean into that. Oh, Namen Rudel was at the New Orleans show. That was a fun one. I do miss going to New Orleans. I haven't been there in quite a while. Although these days I don't really get out on the road much anymore. I usually just do like a handful of shows, maybe 5 shows a year with System Sin, fly out to a festival or a one-off show. I love playing shows, of course, but working in the movie biz keeps me pretty tied to LA, so it's a little hard to break away for months on end. And also, yeah, I think it's a young man's game. I don't like being away from the missus and the cats for that long. All right, I'm getting close to moving over to oil. I want to do something here. I mean, this doesn't even need detail yet. It'll probably just end up being a shirt or some weird thing he's wearing, but something's got to happen here. I might worry about that once we get to oil. I'm not sure. Something's going to happen in the background too, but is it at this stage in the painting? Probably not. Let's see. Let's just give him some highlights in his hair there. And just staring, trying to figure this out. Jennifer says it's time for another SoCal show. Yes, I think you're right. It's been a while. Well, for those of you who are following me on Patreon, you already know this, but for those who aren't, I'm working with the band to put together an acoustic set of some of the older System Sin stuff that I think would lend itself well to being done acoustically. So that is one of the things that's in the works musically right now. Whether or not we will perform that live, I don't know, but I think right now the plan is to at least put out an EP with all the acoustic stuff just for fun. Let's see, Namen Rudel, there's not a lot of good music venues where I live in Florida, so it's kind of dull. That's too bad. There are no shortages of them here in LA, but I find myself making it out to shows less and less these days, for better or for worse. You know, I think, so if this weren't like a live stream where people are watching me and like, you know, I gotta I have all the time in the world, I might just move into oil at this stage right away, right? But because I'm trying to get this in reasonable shape in one sitting, I think I might continue along with acrylics for a little bit and just start refining things a little better. Because otherwise, once you get into oil, you're rapidly going to get to a point where you have so much paint on your canvas that's not dry, you got to pause and wait for the next day or 2 or 3 or a week so you can pick it up. So for the sake of getting further along with this painting, I'm going to start working it a little more in acrylic than I thought I was going to initially. You know, best laid plans of mice and men and whatnot. Acrylic is probably some of the most forgiving paint to work with. And on these, I'm just using like this, like thus far, you know, these are like not expensive paints. They're probably a couple bucks a bottle or whatever. It's kind of anyone can start on those. And I like to paint thick, and I buy the big tubes and squeeze them out thick. But it's pretty forgiving because it dries slower than tempera or watercolor, but much faster than oil. It's kind of like a happy medium. So when it's still like, see this area right here is still wet, so I can even get in and do some little wet on wet blending till it starts to dry up. You know, if I had oil paint that wet, you know, it's not drying on this in the same day. So, or if I started out, I started out in oil, was no good at it, moved to watercolor for a while, was no good at it, then moved to tempera for a while, and I actually kind of started to become a better artist when I started painting in tempera. And that's a very similar consistency to acrylic, but it dries super fast. And as I found out later, after I had created a body of work in tempera, it cracks. It cracks if you paint thick like this as it dries. And so so I have a lot of old tempera paintings that are just cracked and kind of you know, collecting dust. But then after that tempera, then I got moved over to acrylic, and that I really just fell in love with acrylic, because next to tempera, which is pretty unforgiving and difficult to work in, acrylic was a dream. And then at a certain point, I think it was actually Christopher Ulrich, the guy I had just mentioned earlier, who did the murals over at Der Wolf. I think he was the one that talked me into just doing oil. I mean, he advocated for it, at least, as did a lot of my friends. And I gave it a shot, and yeah, then just fell in love with oil. And pretty much most things I paint these days are oil. This is probably the first acrylic painting I've done in a very long time. So at least at this stage, the thing with oil, if again, it dries so slow. So if you have the luxury of taking your time with a piece, you can really just work on it for infinity. You know, keep going back to it, and it's yeah. I mean, you can blend. You can certainly blend your paints for much a longer period of time than you can with acrylic. See, like, you know, right here, I've been working on this, so that area is wet, but over here, this is already dry, and that shows you how fast acrylic dries. You know, oh, a little dry. I just smudged it, but. Do, 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 do. Yeah, it is quite awkward painting in silence. Usually, when I'm painting. I'm either listening to music or I have like a book on tape going on. Or I guess podcasts more these days, but getting some reading in. Reading on a book on tape is always a good way to pass the time while painting. And what I'm doing now, I don't know how well you can tell on the webcam. It probably looks like I'm just painting over the same thing over and over again, but I'm really just smoothing out these the skin a bit. Yeah, again, normally would do this part in oil, but for the sake of making progress for the live stream. So of the people watching today, who all is an artist? Do we have any other painters watching? I know there's a couple of you already, but feel free if anyone who wants to share their work with the other viewers, let people know where they can find your work and check it out. Fully encourage you guys to talk amongst yourselves too while I'm working. I'm going to open up his mouth just a little bit so I can have something dripping out. You know, because who doesn't like a good something dripping out of some monster's mouth? Nobody I want to know. Okay, just open that up a bit, but gotta let that black dry. So we'll move on. Oh, I missed the chat. Let's see. Schwein asks, what was the inspiration for a late night horror show? Excellent question. So again, just to fill in people who are watching who don't know what the hell that is, because a lot of well, I feel like most people that subscribe to my YouTube channel don't even know I'm a musician. So Late Night Horror Show was a side project that I did 2 years ago now, and I released a single album and then a couple singles with it, and all of the songs are under a minute in length, just kind of like super fast, techno-y, industrial kind of, and then I had various vocalists from different bands that I know in the scene provide vocals. And it was just like a fun little project. It was, on one hand, it was a good excuse to just to get to work with some friends again, writing some music. So that was part of the appeal of it. Um, the other thing, I guess one of the gags of it, I guess the joke of it is, let me tell you a little bit about streaming royalties. So, on a platform like Spotify, um, you get paid a fraction of a penny, like 0.003 cents. So not even 3 cents, but yeah, a fraction of a penny per stream, and they pay you. Someone can listen. If someone listens to 30 seconds of a song, then you get paid. But if it's less than 30 seconds, then you don't even get paid for that. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if you just had a whole album that was only 30 seconds long, so you could play it. You could play the whole album in 10 minutes and get paid just as much as you would with an hour-long album. And that thought was funny to me. And then just for fun, I started writing all these crazy short songs, and then I ended up liking the stuff I was writing, and then I went from there and got other artists involved in it and got them singing on it, and then it ended up turning out to be a pretty fun little project that I actually kind of really dug the songs. So I never really caught on. I found a little audience, but for a gimmicky thing, it it scratched an itch. It was fun. I may do more in the future, but certainly not a huge demand for it, other than just that I like doing it. Let's see. Yeah, game system. Cindergarden is a huge obsession. Thank you. Yeah, Jamie from Cindergarden recorded on a couple songs on there. She has a great voice, and I really love her songs that she did on that album. Super cool. And in fact, I think at least one of them has like an extended remix, so you get a little longer version of it. Although, because the original versions of all those songs were so short, they're really, a lot of those extended remixes are just can get pretty repetitive, in all honesty. But yeah, I might go back to it someday. But right now, I'm just working on System Sin stuff and having a good time with that. Oh, let's I got a couple things coming up I'll tell you guys about. Have not posted about these yet because I was just advertising for this live stream, but now that we're at the live stream, I can talk about them. So April 19th, if you guys are in the LA area, Hyena Gallery is doing a convention. They're hosting a convention at a venue called the Mayflower Club. It's called the Hyena Horror Market. And I did this convention last year. It was a lot of fun, a lot of really cool vendors, and doing it again this year, April 19th. And the best part is it's free admission. So if you're in town and you want to just go and see a lot of cool horror-related vendors, and they'll have some cool special guests as well, you should swing by April 19th at the Mayflower Club in North Hollywood. I will be there, as well as a bunch of cool folks. And if you do go, please stop by my table and say hi. And if all goes well, if this painting turns into something that I like and I don't end up setting it on fire, I'll probably bring it to the convention so you can see it in person, see how it's shaping up. Oh, thank you for the kind word on the remixes, Schwein. It's dripping all over the place here. Bloop, bloop. Okay, so now that the black in his mouth there is a little dry, I'm going to throw in just a little hint of some teeth at the bottom. And then once I finish up the chin, he'll be drooling or something gross, maybe dripping blood or something. I don't know, unknown at this point what it will be, but it will be something gross, probably. I'm going to get rid of this weird lower lip here and just open up this mouth a bit. This is not any kind of specific creature, so I can take liberties with the anatomy here and it'll be fine. Who's going to complain? Not I. And then this section that was his lower lip kind of becomes his shoulder now. See, it all works out. Actually, I'm going to reshape it though. Brian Bubonic has joined. Those hyena guys are okay. Yes, Brian, they're just okay. Especially that Brian guy. Thanks for joining, man. Let's see. Ever get to meet Tom Savini? I did. I met him briefly at a convention at Monsterpalooza one year, but I didn't really get a chance to have a real chat with him. But certainly loved his work and really influenced me to want to go into the movie biz at a young age, which I eventually did. And Create Sci-Fi says, very cool. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for joining, sir. If you guys don't know of Create Sci-Fi, go check out his YouTube channel. He does awesome prop builds related to sci-fi, and he makes cool films. You know, in fact, he made a movie a couple of years back called The Mandalorian and the Drunken Jedi. I just butchered that title. But Anthony, you can correct me in the comments of what that full title is. The Forsaken Mandalorian and the Drunken Jedi Master. I think that's what it's called. And I play a character in that film, a Twi'lek or a Twi'lek. I don't know how to pronounce that. Super fun, cool Star Wars fan film that he did. So check it out and you can see me dressed like a blue weirdo, as opposed to the normal color weirdo I am right now. This guy's kind of reminded me almost like of, you guys ever seen Ghoulies? Like one of the little toilet monster creatures from Ghoulies, which is a super fun 80s puppet-based horror movie. I love all those 80s monster puppets, as you may have guessed. Ghoulies and critters and the like. Sucker for a good monster puppet. Yeah, you'll probably end up getting some warts or something monsterific. Troll. Yes. Yes, Troll. And even the classic Troll 2, which, if you guys haven't seen Troll 2, let me put it this way, there's a documentary on the making of Troll 2. Well, just on Troll 2 in general. And the documentary is called The Best Worst Movie, because Troll 2 is truly just one of those movies that goes beyond being bad and back into good again, because it's so bad. But, you know, I think what makes a bad movie good is when the filmmakers legitimately think that they're making a great film. So they just put so much heart into it. But in spite of everyone's best efforts, it still turns out awful. Those are the kind of bad movies that I like, because there's just charm to them. So Troll 2, just chock full of, you know, janky special effects and not stellar acting, but in a hilarious way that makes it really fun to watch. Oh, we've got, it's already 8:30. We've been painting for an hour and a half. Pardon me while I read a text. Oh. Okay, back to it. Break's over. Abominous Rules. Good evening, Clint. Good evening, Abominous Rules. Thank you for joining. We're having fun painting weird things. Normally don't paint in a leather jacket and a hoodie, by the way, but it is kind of freezing in my garage right now, so and just to recap for people who have joined the stream recently, we're doing an acrylic painting right now. After we get through the acrylic stage, I'm going to come in and add in additional detail in oil paint. We'll see how far we get tonight. I'd love to finish this guy up in one sitting, but yeah, we might not finish him. We'll see where it goes. And aside from that, if anyone at home is an artist or wants to be an artist or just feels the compulsion to make art along with me. I highly encourage that. And if you do, please send an image of your artwork to me at the email address clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I'll feature some art that was made during this stream in an upcoming video. No pressure, though. And then also another reminder is I have a Patreon over at patreon.com/Clint Carney, where I do weekly updates and I tell everybody every week about all the random creative stuff I was doing that week in the art world, in the movie world, in the music world. So that's where I announce everything first. Over there, you can join for free. And there's also paid tiers where you get more stuff as well. But that's kind of Patreon and YouTube are the kind of the two platforms I've been hanging out on more recently. Haven't spent a whole hell of a lot of time on other platforms recently, but not regretting it. I don't know if you got, it seems like there's a new social media thing popping up every 5 seconds. And I did sign up for a Blue Sky just to see what it was about, and then it just looked like Twitter, and I think I used it once or twice and didn't go back to it. But I am on there if you want to add me there or on any of the social media platforms. Feel free. Cannot keep up with all the social media, though. There's new ones popping up every 5 minutes. Let's see. Abominous Rules says we know each other, but they will remain anonymous. Damn you and your cryptic self. That's okay, Abominous. There have been several people throughout the night that have popped on who I knew who they were, but they were under pseudonyms. So that's the theme of the night. You don't want to get caught watching my live stream. People will think bad things about you. Okay, it's starting to shape up, though. I don't know. You know, it's turning into something. Still not sure with this main guy. He almost kind of feels like what was it? The Beauty and the Beast from the 80s. I'm blanking on the guy's name that plays the Beast in that movie. He's in Sons of Anarchy. Ron Perlman. Kind of has a Ron Perlman from Beauty and the Beast vibe going on. Just not the actor specifically, but the makeup from that in there. So I'm going to have to fix that. Staying home with cats is important. Oh, hey, Charlie. Yes, staying home with the cats is the most important thing. Cats require a lot of attention. Yes, the one with Linda Hamilton, that one. Yeah. See, I don't know. Something about the mouth area was reminding me of that. Not too much, just vaguely. Okay. Constantly, as I paint, constantly messing up the painting and then going back and trying to fix it and messing it up again. That's just part of the process. But, you know, I'm digging it. It's all right. You know, it's not, I don't hate it. It's interesting. It's something. I think it'll turn into something cool. I almost, and I'm not sure yet, so don't hold me to this, but I almost want to bring his hand into this painting somewhere. But let's see, if the shoulder would be down there. Man, I might have outthought myself on the composition. It would be kind of weird to bring it in now. I don't know. We'll see. I might bring his hand in later. Maybe make him smoking a cigarette or something. I don't know. We'll think about that. Schwein says this is very Cthulhu Fallout. Yeah, I can see that. Abominus is Ted Phelps? I don't know. Is it? Could be. We never know. Name yourself. Okay, let's see. That snake's looking pretty lame. We're going to have to fix his face, but we're going to get to that in a second. It's funny because, I mean, I do a lot of paintings where I just don't look at a reference. It's just off the top of my head. And then I also do paintings where I will kind of meticulously research things, like study the animals and the anatomy and things like that. But like with this kind of painting where it's just kind of like a nonsense, what the hell is happening kind of painting, I think it's funny when you add like an animal or something in there, but you don't look at a reference for it, and then it almost becomes like a childlike interpretation of what that animal could look like, or you know. So it's never quite anatomically accurate when just going off the top of my noggin, but it's always fun. I'm just making some like skin folds here, because who doesn't like a good skin fold? Give him like a quadruple chin action. Brian says he looks a bit like Klaus Kinski. Yes, he does. I can see that. Yeah, it's he's just going to keep evolving as this thing goes on till he ends up looking like me. When I first started getting into acrylic, so to skip back to what I was saying earlier, when I was just painting in tempera, all of my tempera paintings, or not all of them, but a lot of them, were just black and white and grayscale. And I was really trying to refine my ability to get contrast and show contrast and just identify the difference between the light and shadows, et cetera, et cetera. And then when I moved to acrylic initially, partially because I was trying to challenge myself, and probably more realistically because I was broke, I only painted in black and white and primary colors. So I just bought red, blue, yellow, black, and white. And I didn't allow myself to use any other colors. If I wanted another color, I had to mix it myself. So, of course, limited my color palette, but it did make me better at making colors. I'm not advocating for doing that, by the way. That's just one artist's journey. But some of those paintings that I did with that limited color palette to this day remain some of my favorite work. There's a painting that I did, well, I'll mention a couple, which will mean nothing if you're not familiar with my art, but there's one painting I did called Becoming You, which was like this self-portrait, and it ended up being the album cover for the European release of the System Sin album Strangers. That one was done like that. That's an acrylic painting just done with black, white, red, yellow, and blue, only colors I used. Another one that was somewhat well known of mine was called I'm Funnier with My Nose, which is a title I would later steal for a short film. That one, same thing. Black, white, red, yellow, blue, that's it. And something about just limiting the colors that you work with kind of forces you into doing interesting things. Necessity is the mother of invention, is the saying, I believe. It's turning into something. Whatever the hell that means. Okay. Kind of all over the place. I don't stay in one area for too long. Like just jumping around the canvas. And gradually as you go, it starts forming, shaping up into something. So I think I'm going to try to do these live streams on a little more regular basis. Probably start out trying to do every 2 weeks and take it from there. You know, if people dig it, maybe I'll do it more often, or if no one gives a shit, then maybe I'll do it less. But I think for now, I'll do it 2 weeks from today. That gives you plenty of fair warning. Get your art supplies ready, because next time, you're going to be making art with me. Yeah, I just realized this whole time I've been just using the one brush thus far on this whole thing, which is this kind of angled little chisel brush. I don't know brush names, man. But yeah, just the one brush so far on this guy. But as we get more into detail, I'll get into smaller brushes and stuff. But for now, this is fine. And we're gonna, the snake just feels like he's gonna need more than one set of eyeballs, so we're gonna accommodate. Let's see. Charlie says, I want to see what's going to be on the toad thing's tongue. That's a good question, Charlie. So do I. I don't know yet. I was thinking butterfly, bee, fly. It might even be like a little dude, you know, some kind of other little critter that lives up there in that world. We're going to find out soon, though. Together, you and I, we are going to discover what is on the toad thing's tongue. We've got 70 views on the video so far, so 70 people have popped in and out over the course of the stream so far. That's pretty good. I was telling my wife before I started streaming, since I hadn't done this in a while, I was expecting like 4 people to show up. So, you know, hey, I'll take 70, but we got 10 people watching right now, which is awesome. Jennifer says it should be a very small squirrel. Ah, that's a fantastic idea. I love that. Let's see. Brian says, are you going to check out the Bloodworm Moon tonight? Oh, shit. Is that tonight? I didn't even realize that was tonight. Yes, Brian, I will check out the Blood Moon, but I'll do it after the session. But maybe in honor of the Blood Moon, we're going to add it to the painting right there in the background. We'll do that. And now, so we'll remember that we painted it on Blood Moon night. Let's give the little man in the moon face. More on that later. But yeah, squirrel on the tongue. I love that. Let's make that happen. Look at that. Instant squirrel. I mean, you really can't go wrong with a squirrel, right? Yeah, I'm fully aware it doesn't look like a squirrel right now. It just looks like a blob of black paint, but squirrel coming soon. But now what's going to be on the squirrel's tail? Does he get a critter on there? Do we just keep stacking critters upon critters upon critters? Who knows? if you're wondering what I'm doing with the brush, sometimes I'm like debating, about slicing some of the, cutting some of the shapes in half or moving those around. So I just kind of eyeballing it to help me block in some shapes before I commit it to paint. Naman Rudel says turtles all the way down. I'd also love a good turtle, so maybe we'll squeeze a turtle in there. Who knows? We'll see. I'm not committing to the turtle yet, but I mean, who doesn't like turtles? There's always room for turtles in a painting. And of course, the anatomy on his little hand here is pretty not great, but we will refine that as we go on. He's only going to have 3 fingers and a thumb anyway, but we want them to be nice fingers. We'll fix that up as we go, though. Just going to put in some of this. I just blanked on the name of the color again. Raw sienna, mix it with a little white, and I'm just going to block in this background here. All of these little geometric shapes are dividing up the image, so the background that exists within each shape is going to be independent of the other ones, I think. Don't hold me to that, but that's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm not matching the color on that. It's deliberate. I think. I don't know, man. Let's take a poll. I bet you I could finish this painting in one session if I just do it all in acrylic. Maybe I don't go to oil at all. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. See where the night takes us. Let's see. Mad Outcast says, oh wait, I'll jump back up. Eclipse starts at 11:25. The sky is pretty clear. Should be a good view. Oh, cool. Well, we got a few hours. And Mad Outcast says, what's up, dude? The painting is looking pretty dope. I'm holding you to that. All right. Thanks, Jakey. I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. It's my first live stream on the old YouTubes. For any of you who used to watch the Art Autopsy streams from Hyena Gallery, for the life of me, I can't remember where we streamed that. Maybe it was just streamed on Facebook. I'm not real sure. Or maybe it was on YouTube, but just not on my YouTube. So, because I never had to set it up before. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're here now on YouTube, and that is what matters. Oops. Didn't mean to throw some raw sienna on his cheek, but that's okay. Yeah, it's getting all fleshy and lumpy down here, nice and gross, just the way we like it. let's take a poll. Who votes for oil painting and probably not finishing this painting in one session, or who votes for doing it all in acrylic and trying to actually finish it in one sitting? Let me know in the comments or in the chat. Squeeze out some more black. Oh, Brian says it streamed on Facebook back then. Thank you, Brian. Nauman Rudel says, can't rush perfection. All right. I don't know that this painting will achieve perfection, but I appreciate the vote of confidence. We'll just keep painting until we collapse. How's that sound? Jennifer says, finish it. All right, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. You know what'll probably happen, even if I endeavor to finish it tonight and I call it finished in this stream, it'll be staring at me and I'll go back and start adding more shit into it later anyway. It's always the way it works, but that's all right. We'll see how far we can get it. For those of you who are just joining, just a quick reminder to everybody, this April 19th at the Mayflower Club in North Hollywood, California, is going to be Hyena Gallery's Horror Market, and that's a cool, free-to-attend a little convention with a bunch of awesome vendors and artists, and I will be one of the artists there. I'll be set up at a table. So I'll have some art with me and bring some masks that I've made and some other cool stuff, and of course all the music stuff. So please come out to that if you can. If you're in town, highly recommend it. It's going to be a fun event. And if anyone has anything System Sin stuff or movie stuff or whatever that you want me to sign, bring it by. I will sign it for you. No charge. I laugh because that's weird, charging for autographs. Okay, all right. All right. Take a minute to stare at it, see what the hell I'm doing next. Also, just out of curiosity, if anyone wants to chime in and let me know, I'm just curious about how my marketing efforts work. Did anybody who's watching just randomly find this video, this live stream on YouTube, or did you come over to the stream because you saw me advertise it on one of my social media platforms? Let me know. Just curious to see how people are finding it. Let's see. Charlie says, either way, it's almost midnight here. I'm going to be sleeping soon, so I'll see it tomorrow. I like the chaotic method where you paint out people's suggestions like the squirrel as you go along. Well, thank you, Charlie. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great sleep. And yeah, check back in the morning and see how it turned out. I appreciate you watching. Thank you, Jake. Very helpful. I was debating whether or not to do the live stream from my office, yeah, my home office, or the garage, but then I realized if I did it inside, William would be climbing on me, my cat, the entire time. Then I'd have to lock him out of the office, and then he'd be meowing at the door the entire time. So, yeah, we're coming live from the garage, thanks in part to William and his relentlessness. Not that William doesn't make for good television, but you know, sometimes he gets in the way of progress. So anyone see any, oh, I was about to ask if anyone's seen any awesome movies lately. Let me know. Always looking for new stuff that's good. But let me talk about another movie that I saw recently that is awesome. If you're new to the stream, previous recommendations were Heretic and Talk to Me, which were awesome. But I also recently saw Flow. And if you're not familiar with it, it is the winner of it just won an Oscar for Best Animated Film. But coincidentally, I was watching it on the night that it won the Oscar. I hadn't heard of it. My wife's friend recommended it. We watched it, loved it, and then I went online to find out a little bit more about it after the fact, and it had just won the Oscar in the middle of us watching it. But a really cool short film. It's all animated, just a small crew of folks working on it, and all done in the program Blender, which is a free 3D program that I use a lot for visual effects and for modeling 3D models and things like that. So it was really cool to see a film there, but it's just follows a cat, and I won't give away too much about it, but not an anthropomorphic cat, but you know, just a regular cat kind of in this post-human world as it goes on adventures with other animals. But just a really, because it's following around animals, there's no dialogue at all. Just a really fantastic example of visual storytelling without the need for dialogue. Really great, very emotional, and yeah, just really well done. So it's called Flow. I think it's on Amazon now. I don't know, it's on probably a lot of the streaming services now, but definitely worth a watch if you guys like that sort of thing. Did you see The Substance? Yes, I did see The Substance, and I loved that as well. That was another good one. I was surprised to see that was nominated for Oscars, not because it wasn't deserving, but just historically, you know, horror and weirdo films get snubbed at the Oscars, so it was pretty cool to see it get nominated. But yeah, I mean, super cool. It kind of reminded me of a hybrid between like a Brian Yuzna's Society and like a 80s era Cronenberg film. Just super super bizarre and gory and rad practical makeup. So yeah, I loved it. That director, she's a French director, and I don't know her name off the top of my head, but I hear that she has another film out. My buddy Rob told me about it. I think it's called Revenge, and I have not seen that one yet, but it was recommended to me, so I do want to check it out. Matt Outcast says, thought of me when I watched The Substance. I wonder why. I'm kidding. Thanks, man. Yeah, I liked it. And actually had a few friends say the same thing. For some reason, that movie reminded them of me. Uh, Brian says Flo stressed him out and ultimately made him sad. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think Heidi had a similar reaction, but it was, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a great journey. Yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I can't go into too much detail without ruining the film as to why, that recommended for any of y'all that like animals. I think I'm just going to, for the sake of laziness and expediency, just kind of hint at the scales with some highlights rather than going through and doing a whole crazy pattern on the little snake dude here. I think that should get us where we want to go. We can always add more detail in later. Naman Rudel says, shows my age, but I think my favorite horror movie is Nightbreed. Well, that is an excellent choice. Speaking of David Cronenberg, he didn't direct it, but he did act in it. He plays Dr. Decker. Yeah, Nightbreed is great, man. I love that movie for many reasons. Well, for one, the book that it's based on, which is Cabal by Clive Barker, is the first book I ever read by Clive Barker. I was admittedly probably too young. I should not have been reading Clive Barker at a young age, but I did, and I loved that book and loved the movie. Just had such a fantastic world of monsters and different creatures. So really, just a fun one. Also, I believe, again, because the Clive Barker, the Clive Barker of it all of the Cenobites from the original Hellraiser are actually also play different monsters in Midian in Nightbreed. I'm blanking on who is who. I mean, I know Doug Bradley, who plays Pinhead, is the kind of like the elder monster in Midian, and Nicholas Vince, who plays the Chatterer, is I think he's like the dude with the shaved head and the nipple tattoos, if I remember correctly. Oh no, or maybe he's the guy with the moon face. I can't remember. He's one of the guys, and then yeah, I can't remember which character the girl that plays the female Cenobite is, but I believe she's also one of the monsters in there. So anyway, a little cool, tie-in with those two movies, which was pretty cool. Yeah, and then I don't know that I've ever seen David Cronenberg in another acting role, but he was really good and super creepy as Dr. Decker in that movie. I mean, he's a fantastic director, obviously, but I thought he just, did a really great job in the role. if anyone can name another David Cronenberg acting role, let me know, because I would check out whatever he's in. I certainly enjoy his films. I'm just gonna quickly throw some paint in on this bottom section. I'm not gonna go overly detailed in here, but just get some fucking paint on the canvas. I should probably watch my mouth. I realize I've probably been cursing throughout this stream. I guess not that it really matters, but I think it does matter with my monetization on YouTube, advertisers and such. Any other movie recommendations from you folks out there? Doesn't have to be horror, can be anything, although points for horror. Okay, let's get a little lightness in this moon. Okay, let's see. Matt Outcast, you said you saw Smile, right? Yes, I did see Smile. I enjoyed that a lot too. And actually recently watched Smile 2, which was also really good. And I think one of the things that I enjoyed about Smile 2 was how a lot of sequels can just tend to be rehashes of the original film, but I thought Smile 2 did a really good job of telling a different story, but in the same world with that same mythology. So I really enjoyed that. So if you haven't seen Smile 2 and you like Smile 1, check it out. Okay, let's put some color in this thing, right? It's been black and white and raw sienna for too long. Let's get some color in here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to oil, but momentarily I'm going to take a quick break. I will be right back in like 2 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to switch over to my little break screen here. I'll be right back, guys. Fear not. The painting will continue. Let's see if anyone's still around when I'm back. And we are back. Hey guys. Let's see, Jennifer says David Cronenberg was in the miniseries of Alias Grace, which is one of the best things Margaret Atwood has written. I have not seen that. I will have to check it out. That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know he did more acting roles, so thank you for the tip. I halfway expected to come back from that break and find everyone gone. So grateful for you guys for sticking around. Okay, yeah, I think we're gonna move into some oil, just get some color in, see how far we can get with that. So let's see, move my water over there and get these acrylics out of the way. And here's a big old tub of oil paints. And more. Let's see. Oops. Dropping paints everywhere. I'm just pulling out ones that I think I may want to use. Okay. I'm going to repurpose this piece of cardboard. It's my very fancy palette. Jake says, don't drink your paint water. Well, as you probably know, I have been known to accidentally do that from time to time. Okay, let's pick some colors, shall we? Got some phthalo green. Some dioxide purple, like that. Naples yellow. Transparent oxide red. That's my go-to. And got some Griffin Alkin for the white. And let's start with that and see where it goes from there, huh? Oh, Naman Rudel says Cronenberg was in The Fly. Did he have a cameo on that? You know, to be honest, it's been so long since I've seen that. I forget, but I need to revisit it. It's been a while. Which reminds me, I don't have The Fly on VHS. I have, well, you can't see it on the camera, but if the camera were pointed the other direction, it's like a wall of VHS. I love watching old horror movies on VHS. Something incredibly nostalgic about that. But I do not own The Fly on VHS, just on DVD, I think. So that should be a future VHS purchase. Okay. So squeezing some paint out on the palette. I'm also using this stuff, which is Liquin, and this is the original formula of Liquin, which is a lot more viscous than the other stuff. This is a paint medium, so you can mix it with your oil paints, and it does a few things. It thins it out, so you'll see I'm going to start adding color in washes. I'm going to layer thin amounts of color on top of it, so that helps thin it out. It also has the lovely byproduct of accelerating the dry time. Not too fast, but whatever I mix in with this liquid will probably be dry this time tomorrow. So pretty fast for oil paint. Let's see, where do we start? I think I'm going to start with this background here, get that sky taken care of, and then maybe move over to the frog dude from there. Let's start with that, see where it goes. I need to get some pliers. 1 second. These things tend to stick. So the sky is mostly going to be this dioxide purple, which I will then do some kind of a gradient as it gets closer to the horizon into just a lighter dioxide purple. So we're just going to mix that with some of this white. You know what? I'm going to keep the trend going. Let's see if we can do this entire painting with one paintbrush. And then this jar right here, this is just odorless turpenoid to clean the old brush with. Can't clean off oil paint with water. And then I'm just mixing some of this liquid in with this purple. But you'll see now that I mixed it with the liquid, it really does thin it out. So I'm not getting that solid purple, but it's, you know, it's going on pretty thin. So you're still seeing a lot of that raw sienna come through in the back. Which I don't necessarily want, but actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze out some of this Naples yellow, which is actually not too far from that raw sienna. Give us a little gradient coming off of the moon. And we'll see, even, you know, even at this stage, even when you get into oil, there's no mistakes you can make that you can't eventually paint over. Oh, thanks for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. See you soon. And the numbers are dwindling as the night moves on. That's all right. I'm gonna keep painting for those of you who are still watching. But, you know, again, if anyone's got to drop off, no big deal. You can always jump back in tomorrow and see how it turned out, or at least see how far I got before before I gave in for the night. Yeah, of course, now that I pop this in, we're gonna have to go back over that moon, of course, as well. But everything's getting covered with the oil paint eventually, so that's all right. Sometimes, so this thing here just holds the canvas in place, but it does cast a super annoying shadow. I'm gonna, let's see. I might throw a little bit of blue into the background, a little bit of cobalt blue, mix it in with this purple, darken up some areas. There we go. Yeah, I like that. That cobalt mixed in with the purple is feeling nice. And I'll be adding some. I think this painting probably isn't destined to be done in one sitting because I'd like to add some stars and stuff into here, but probably we'll need this sky to dry a bit more before I can get to that stage. So we'll see. See how impatient I get. Oh, you know what? Shit, I forgot we were going to do the blood moon in honor of tonight's blood moon. So let's throw a little bit of this transparent oxide red into the mix and just bloody up that moon a bit. Yeah, we're gonna End up coming back to that moon later on after this layer of paint's dry. I think it's just a little oversaturated and I don't want it to turn into too much mush. It's already getting a little messy there, so. All right, we're gonna come back to that sky later. I'm just blobbing paint together in a not pretty way at the moment. Brian asks, are there advantages to using acrylics for the underpainting? Yeah, only in that it dries faster. So for the sake of like a live painting thing, that's why I'm using acrylics. Normally I'll do the whole thing just in oil, but yeah, for now, when everyone's watching, if I did the underpainting in oil, that's as far as we would get in the session, and then wouldn't be as fun for the audience at home to watch. Good question, though. Okay. I'm just taking some phthalo green. I don't know if you guys ever watch Bob Ross paint, but this is one of his favorite colors. He throws phthalo green in just about every painting. It's a common, it's like his go-to, it's his go-to green. We're gonna water it down with the liquid and then just glaze on some green into his lovely creaturey skin here. But you can see when I thin it down with the liquid, see how thin this is going on. So all of the underpainting in terms of the lights and darks, you know, the shadows and highlights below still come through underneath the color. And this glazing process, once you start layering colors on top of each other, it can get very interesting. Of course, the downside is the dry time, you know. So now that I've committed to glazing this in oil, I have to wait for certain colors to dry before I can go in and get them finished. Now you can do like a glazing technique with acrylic as well, but it's instead of using liquid, you just thin it down with an acrylic medium or with water even. And then that dries faster, but it is harder to control. Let's see. Because a very thin acrylic dries extremely rapidly, so you gotta work fast with it. Whereas you have a lot more grace with the oil because it's so slow to dry. I see, so this tongue is just disappearing into the background there, but that's okay. It's going to get layered in with additional colors later on. Get a cadmium yellow here. Which is a little more vibrant than the other yellow we were using just for this creature's eyeballs. I'm going to use the same cad yellow on his teeth just to knock them down a bit. Obviously, his teeth were just really hastily blocked in there in the acrylic, so those are going to require some detail, but I'm just getting some color in there for right now. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop in the chat and let me know. I ran out of things to ramble about. But I guess just a quick recap for those who were not watching earlier, I'm going to be at an event called Hyena Gallery Horror Market, which is put on by the Hyena Gallery. And the horror market will be held at the Mayflower Club on April 19th. So myself and some other really cool guests and artists will have their work on display there. So come check it out. And if this painting ends up turning out well, it will likely be on display there. And if it doesn't, other paintings will. But I'm also going to have some masks and music stuff, all kinds of stuff there. So come on by. And it is a free to attend event. So if you're in Southern California and you're looking for something to do, you can't go wrong with free. But I did the same event last year, and it was super fun. Just a really cool little venue, great artists, and just a lot of fun. And of course, put on by the good folks at Hyena Gallery, and they always do great events. I gotta get some crimson on my palette here. It doesn't matter what crimson I buy. For some reason, that color, alizarin crimson, every time I get it, the bottle ruptures and just turns into a big mess. And so now I have this monstrosity of like a rubber glove and a Ziploc bag and God knows what else that are holding in the last remnants of my crimson. And I cannot find a palette knife. Let's see. Well, if anyone knows the magical reason why alizarin crimson always breaks in the tube, let me know. It is a mystery I have never unraveled. This is, or maybe it's just me. Man, this is just a mess. It's just a bloody mess. Yeah, this is. Well, let's hope that's good enough to get us through, but I think I gotta buy a new tube again. I swear I buy more tubes of this than any other paint because, well, you see what a mess it is. Okay. Got it all over my hands. All right. Moving on with our lives. Maybe some part of the red dye eats the plastic. It could be, but these are metal tubes. So that, yeah, the tubes themselves are like a metal. Yeah, I mean, it could be, yeah, something in it. It's causing problems. Yeah, the frog dude's gonna certainly need to let this layer dry a bit more before we can do too much with his skin, but yeah, he's getting pretty saturated already. So yeah, sadly, it's looking more and more like this will not be finished in one sitting, but I guess I kind of knew that once I busted out the oil paints anyway, so that's okay. I'll keep chipping away at him after tonight anyway. Okay. So I gotta pause on the frog skin for now, just because it's saturated. Let's just throw a little bit of this crimson into the tongue. And I guess on my shopping list, we'll be picking up a new tube of crimson. Okay, we're gonna do the detail on that squirrel later on too, because it's so tiny. You watching me paint little detail on a squirrel from the camera at that distance is not going to be super great television. So we're just going to move on and keep going on with the big parts here. Okay, so let's think about the skin tone here on this guy. Ultimately, I think he's going to be kind of blue-ish in skin tone, but I want some undertones of red in there. So yeah, again, this is going to be a multiple part wash on here. We're going to start by putting in some of this transparent oxide red and doing a very thin layer of that, and then maybe wiping that down a bit and then come back in with some blues. So let's see how far we can get before he gets too saturated to move on. A little too thick right there. Let's wipe that down a bit. There we go. That's more like it. Really starts to come together fast though once you start washing in the color. Starts looking like something. And again, if anybody who is just joining us has any questions or has anything they want to talk about, just let me know in the chat. So I think as we get closer into like this side of his face where this creature is coming out, we're not going to go full in with the iron oxide red. I'll maybe just have little hints of it poking in, but this is mostly going to have a different skin tone on that side of his face. And again, just repeating myself for those of you who are joining a little later in the stream. I'm going to be doing the next live stream 2 weeks from today, where we'll see if this guy will probably be finished by then, in which case you can see the final painting then, but if not, we'll finish him up then, but more than likely we'll be starting a brand new painting then. So yeah, mark your calendars, and as I get more used to this live streaming thing, I will hopefully figure out ways to make the streams even more entertaining. But I always encourage, I want to encourage you guys to set up your own art supplies at home and make art alongside me. And if you do end up doing that, please send me pictures of anything you create, and I'll feature them in a future video on the channel. What's everyone listening to these days, music-wise? Anyone discover any new bands recently that they like? It's been a while since I found a new band. Spend a lot of time listening to the same old bands, but every once in a while Spotify will recommend one I haven't heard, but it's been a while. Yeah, I'll probably try to figure out how to get some music playing in the background on the next one. That just so it's not the sound of me talking to myself the entire time. Whee! See, now that I've got some thin layers of this iron oxide red and this cobalt blue layered into this skin tone, now I can go in and just take a very small amount of my titanium white, because both of those colors are still wet on the canvas. I can mix them together and get some interesting things happening in the skin tone here. Let's see. Gothic Fucker. Sorry I'm late, buddy. Hey, thank you so much for joining. Glad to have you here. Nauman Rudel says, been loving the retro style bands like Gunship and Carpenter Brute recently, but I'm still stuck on old Metropolis Records library. I don't think I've heard Gunship, but I've heard Carpenter Brute, and they are pretty rad. Of course, yeah, Metropolis definitely has some good bands going on. Curse Mackey from Pigface and Evil Mothers is putting out a new record, so he put out a new video recently, which I thought that track was pretty good. If you guys know Curse. Trying to think what else came out recently. I don't know. And of course, there will be some new System Sin dropping soon-ish, I think, because I'm making some good progress. I don't know, though. I guess the debate for me on that front is, do I hold off and finish a full album's worth of material, or do I just drop singles as they're finished? I don't know. Let me ask you guys, does anyone actually listen to albums anymore as like a form of art? It feels more and more that people just listen to singles, you know. They hear a song on streaming they like, they put it on a playlist and never hear the whole album. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because I personally love the art form of albums, but I don't know. What do you guys prefer? Guess I could always do both though, right? Put out some singles and then drop the album when the full collection's ready. Let's see. Have you heard Matt Black? I listened to full albums, but I'm autistic, so maybe they're just an autism thing for me. Who knows? Even when I make playlists, it's just full albums. Matt Black. I know that name sounds super familiar, so I've probably heard it, but for the life of me, I can't remember if I have heard it. And awesome that you listen to full albums, so I'm not the only one. Yeah, I mean, as like a musician, I love the art form of creating a full album, you know. Then you have to think about theme and cohesive narrative structure between songs and things like that. It's just more of a challenge than just doing a standalone song. But sometimes you write a song and it just doesn't fit on an album. So I don't know. Don't know what I'm going to do next. Figuring that out. Ah, shit. Let's see, that's what Cyclone 9 has been doing, and a lot of other bands are doing the same, the thing of releasing singles before their albums drop. Yeah, that's, I don't know, it might be the way to go in today's climate, I guess. It's weird that, I mean, I guess, from the point of view of trying to make a living doing music, digital really just doesn't pay a whole lot, but the money is really the money is in like the physical releases, which is harder to do with singles, just in terms of the cost of manufacturing multiple singles. Not a lot of people buy singles, but people do like listening to them on the streaming. So I don't know. It's a constant debate in my head about which way to go. We shall see. I'm gonna find a little brighter red color just for some highlights. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we'll go with permanent rose. Why not? It's because my crimson is failing me. Andrea von Frankenstein says, I definitely listen to full albums. I still collect vinyls, but I bought Kurt Mackey's last album on vinyl at a show at Das Bunker. Awesome. And then let's see, Fucker. I've enjoyed everything you've put out so far. Oh, that's very kind of you. Well, thank you. Yeah, I still buy albums, although honestly, mostly I listen to them streaming. Like I don't actually have a CD player in my car anymore, which is weird. So everything's got to be played through my phone. But I still buy them to support the artists. I like having the physical media. I buy most of my music on Bandcamp, and I typically will order an album and then also pay for the singles. That's awesome. Yeah, Bandcamp's great too, because they actually pay artists pretty well compared to other streaming platforms. Let's see. Ryan says, RZA recently released an orchestral album titled A Ballet Through Mud. It's quite good. Oh, nice. Well, I'm going to have to check that out. There's so much new music coming out all the time. It can be a little overwhelming to keep up with it. I don't know if this is still current. It's probably grown, if anything, but the last statistic I heard was something like 100,000 songs get released on Spotify every day, which is crazy, but you know, not that hard to believe. It's a lot of people making music these days, which is good. Yeah, I like this permanent rose is doing it for me. I like what it's doing with the skin tone here. I'm enjoying that. Nice bright lips on this dude, and then we're gonna kind of smear it around. Yeah, I'm liking that. Oh, nice. Yeah, I had I do have an older car that I don't use as much, just for getting around town. That one still has a CD player in it, but the main thing I drive around does not. They're not making cars with CD players anymore, which I guess is just what happens. But you know, I remember the first time I got a car that didn't have a tape deck, and I was like, "What? It doesn't have a tape deck?" But now, of course, technology just moves in one direction, right? Everything becomes obsolete. Yeah, I don't know how much you can pick up on the camera on the live stream, but we're really starting to get some cool, subtle things happening in the skin tones on here, which now that we're getting these colors pushed together. So it's starting to do nice things. Yeah, I think I'm going to go more, I think I'm going to keep the cobalt blue going along this guy, but pull back on like the iron oxide base so that he still blends, but it's pulling away a bit from the orange of that skin tone and just leading us more into a blue. Let's see if we can pull off that transition and have it look natural. Well, natural. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Gothic Bucker says it looks really good. You can see it. Jennifer has to drop off now, but looking really good. Jennifer, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. In fact, I appreciate all of you who have been on since the beginning, or even those coming in later. Hey, I appreciate anyone who pops on for 5 minutes, and you know, it's cool to hang out with you guys while I make art. Grateful that there are people out there that want to watch what I'm doing. Oops. Still only one brush. Though I am kind of thrashing this brush at this stage, so it's getting a little worse for wear. That's all right. I got more. Why Bother says, came out looking really good. Clint, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. More work to go, but yeah, at least when we end up calling it a night for the night, he'll be in pretty good shape. I would say, just accounting for dry time and detailing and the dry time of the detailing, I would say this guy probably is going to have 2 more sessions in him before I would call him done. But they should be pretty quick sessions, actually, because really made a lot of progress on this first sitting. And I had a lot of fun painting and chatting with you fine folks. Yeah, I'm going to sneak in a little bit of this phthalo green into his, into the side creature's skin tone here. After all, he is going to turn into a snake, so I think we're okay to sneak a little green in. looking at the numbers here, we've had 101 people pop in and out throughout the night, which is pretty good. Far exceeded my expectations. But only the coolest of the cool, like you guys, have stuck around for this long. All right, I think I'm just going to finish up some of the color on the snake and then call it a night on this for right now, just because we have lost most of the audience. Or all of the audience. But for those of you who watch this stream later, I'm going to be finishing up this painting over the next week or so, and I will be posting updates in the community tab here on YouTube and also on my socials. So go follow me on any of the social sites. Okay, I think that's a good stopping point for tonight. Made a lot of progress, not bad for one session, and yeah, so I'm going to call it a night. We're going to come back and work more on him throughout the week, and follow me on, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and here on YouTube, and I'll be posting updates as this one comes to a completion. And tune back in 2 weeks from today. We're going to do another live stream, and do some more painting. Oh, and Gothic Fucker is leaving a comment about the blood moon. Yes, definitely going to be watching that. So thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Brian. Thanks everyone else. See you soon.